Hey, what's up everyone? Robin here again. And I want to talk about something today that's on my heart and that I've been thinking a lot about. And I reckon it might resonate with you as well. In this society where depression and loneliness are slowly but surely reaching epidemic proportions, we have to sort of ask ourselves, are we living correctly? Everyone seems to have a clear idea of how other people should live their lives, but none about their own really. And when you're self-diagnosed as sad or anxious, depressed, whatever it may be, you are treated by doctors for interests quite different from simply healing or helping. And then you slip deeper and deeper into harmful patterns of behavior. And yeah, that's something that's hugely going wrong at the moment, I think. And the fault is not to be found in individual factors, but in the overall concepts of our world and that it currently facilitates. We have to be aware that our time here is limited, and yet many of us fall into the trap of the everyday. Our cell phones, as wonderful as they may be, can be time eaters and lull us into comfort and routine. The truly vivid moments are the ones that have meaning. New experiences make us feel that our lives are longer and richer, and it's those moments when we feel truly alive and when our brain and body are working in perfect harmony. In our world today, it feels like we are constantly being sold the idea that to slow down is somehow a bad thing. Take antidepressants as an example. Their whole deal is to slow down your mind, to sort of dial down the volume of the thoughts that keep us up at night. It's an attempt to find some quiet in the storm. But here's the thought. What if there's another way to achieve that quiet, one that doesn't come from, well, a pill in a bottle? And that's where mindfulness comes in. It's like this hidden superpower we all have, but maybe haven't learned to tap into yet. Mindfulness should be rather called mind emptiness, because it's about being fully present in the moment, noticing the thoughts that arise and the feelings that come up without getting lost in them or without judgment. And meditation, man, it's like the key to unlocking the superpower. But don't think it's just like sitting there in silence for hours. Meditation can be anything that helps you get lost in the moment. I had this crazy experience recently in Portugal where time simply seemed to freeze. I was out on the water waiting for the next wave while the sun was setting, and it was just a feeling of pure bliss. You know, my friend Martin was next to me and some other surfers, the gulls in the background, light waves crashing on the shore. The colors are just getting prettier and prettier, and everyone is at peace around you. Or that peace when you're just running somewhere in the forest, and it's just you and nature. And that's meditation as well, you know. It's about finding that flow state where everything else falls away and it's just you in the now. Now I want to get real for a second. Our lives are bombarded with messages telling us we need to be more happy, more money, more likes, more. But what if that chase is what actually is holding us back? Billions are spent to keep us wanting, to keep us consuming, but rarely on things that truly make life meaningful. Decades are getting longer, it feels like it at least, and an incredible amount happens, and one has infinite possibilities. Like, we couldn't imagine having smartphones in our pockets like 20 years ago, and now we know everything basically. Or AI, don't get me started. It's understandable that many of us choose the easiest path in such a complicated world. We are better off than ever, and yet our society often has unhealthy norms and hopelessness that distract us from this true happiness that we can find in the moment. You end up living an okay life with okay relationships and an okay career. Your family and friends may be right more times, but they are not more right. Let me explain. The business idea you have may fail 99 times, or that girl you bring home, or that guy, whatever, may be the wrong one for 20, 30 times, and your parents may know it immediately. But there can be this one instance where it's actually your partner for life, which you end up marrying, and then it was all worth it, so you're more right in like the value of it. It's exactly that, sorry for the notification, it's exactly that hope that is lost recently. And I feel like if I scroll through some comments on Instagram or whatever, It always seems like everyone is dwelling in nostalgic memories and doesn't want to confront their present problems. And while that's completely understandable, it's not really sufficient to live this life. Endorphins, dopamine, serotonin, these hormones are often released and are achieved through practices of gratitude, sports, and mindfulness again. It's not about finding meaning in everything, as that would probably drive you insane. And other people will see you as mad, you know? If you're just like, okay, this laptop, oh my god, so beautiful, I can do so much on it, damn, do you even appreciate it? You know, it's like, chill. But still, everything sort of holds meaning, and we should like prioritize that meaning and be consciously aware that there is something there. Most people worry about, for example, sickness when it occurs or strokes. We like push that worry away because it's so distant, it feels so distant. But when a loved one is suddenly hit or you are hit with it, then it becomes everything that matters in this moment, you know? And if you didn't practice the empathy to handle those problems with yourselves and with others, and the honesty and the hardship and the discipline that it takes, well, then it's going to be a really rough time. So, yeah, it's basically this mindfulness is like what enables us to have these feelings and thoughts come in, and then without judgment process them and basically swap them in our heads what we are going to do with it. And I feel like meditation and psychedelic substances, for example, let you crash into the moment like a collision. Like the substances do it immediately, and the meditation is like a journey. It's basically about this. There's this theory of state identity, and story, where you basically say, okay, this is a framework that helps us in many ways in life. For example, it can be applied when one is depressed to better understand on how to get out of it. It starts with changing your assumption by changing your circumstances. The story or solutions you come up in a depressive state with are often destructive because you're looking at this whole world through a gray lens. First, you need to signal to your body and mind that you're getting better to have clear thoughts. So, exercise, sauna, cold showers, meditation, hiking, healthy eating, even sunlight. These are good things to first get you out of that state. Sauna is a pretty passive thing, as well as taking a walk and getting in the sunlight. Of course, you're not gonna wake up suddenly and want to go on jog or do a workout if you're like in a depressed state. But it's these simple tricks that can even elevate your hormones and biology, you know, like it influences everything, every cell in your body if you just like view sunlight for the first couple of minutes in the day. And then you are able to tell yourself a different story about yourself. You have different thoughts. You look at your situation through a different lens rather than just laying 14 hours in bed. Of course, you're not going to have happy thoughts, you know, or good thoughts or motivating thoughts. So, as mentioned, it's first about the little steps you have to take. And to get these clear moments, I think we have to dial down the noise and get clear on what we have to prioritize on. We run through life and perceive our surroundings in terms of meaning. We attribute utility to objects instead of just perceiving the shell. And getting a healthy orientation here is key. At the same time, you got to be aware that our biology is not optimized for happiness, rather for belonging, social circles. We try everything to be acknowledged by whoever we deem important. And this can lead to a bunch of problems, which I discuss in more detail again in my ebook. You can get it down below, by the way. It's free. But for now, I want to speak a little about happiness. It's important to note that there are cultural differences in the definition of happiness, and different values are attributed to it. It doesn't make sense to compare the happiness of different countries with each other because they define it differently. It only makes sense to look at one country and then look throughout the years how it's declining or rising in happiness. I think today isolation, a lot of work, uncertainty, hopelessness, these are main factors that actually drive us sad. And then we have to look at like the counterexample, which is that happiness consists of several parameters. Satisfaction, achieving a goal after struggling. Pleasure, which is like a hedonistic life that relies on the limbic system. And meaning, the reason why you do something and from which you derive, well, motivation. Meaning are the proteins. You can live without them. Without the other two, you can play a little more. So basically they are your carbohydrates and also your fats. You can dial down and up, but the proteins, the meaning, it's always there. It has to be there. So we gotta be aware that you shouldn't try to be happy all the time, as happiness is a status that is bad for various reasons and not everlasting. Happiness, on the other side, is the concept that you can consciously decide for happiness in some situations and try to become happier continuously. The importance of certain factors change with age. Around the age of 50, you'll want to return to the forest and lead a more transcendental life, give more than you take, marvel more at the wonders, feel small and be satisfied with less. It's normal to feel sadness even when something positive happens, and you shouldn't feel guilty, but explore why it might be that you feel this way. In East Asian countries, for example, like Japan or Russia, it's much more accepted to follow sadness or to allow it and talk about it openly. These people are still in great health, but when it comes to the West, it's more like the fear of feeling that way that destroys a person, not the feeling itself. And not fearing these feelings but welcoming them makes you stronger. If you're about to cry, it's not wrong to listen to a sad song, as it helps to release stress and tension. When you become angry, you can count to 30 and think about the possible consequences of your actions that you may take after your anger issue. It's about thinking metacognitively, using your prefrontal cortex, the rational part of your brain, to process the emotions instead of the limbic system. Because by analyzing them with like neutral stances, we can sort of direct our emotions afterwards and have a better understanding of them and where they're coming up. And anxiety is basically nothing more than undefined or untargeted fear. And writing down where it comes from and why it's there helps us to focus and define it more precisely. However, there are of course different levels of anxiety or depression, and it's always serious, of course. Here you must decide whether you are truly depressed and diagnosed as depressed, or you have like a bad period of your life that you can't seem to get out of. Because there are always these instances in life where everything doesn't work out and all of a sudden it crashes down on you. And people are bad at estimating what will make them happy in the future. So they dwell on this, Well, it's difficult. I get it. I gave you some practical tips and advice and how you can get out of these vicious circles with, for example, the state and identity and story you tell yourself, that you should like have the small steps first, the habits you establish in your life and the small steps you can take in, day out, that make it easier to sort of have the potential to basically have more positive thoughts than negative ones, because we can make it easier to have these come up. As mentioned, evolutionary, we are programmed to feel threat and anger and sadness in a more precise and more frequent way, but therefore it's ever so more important to really be consciously aware that there is beauty in the moment and that it's achievable by simply appreciating it, And as hard as it may seem, especially if you are diagnosed with depression and everything, I think there are ways to get out of it. And if all of that doesn't help, you can still go to the SSRIs and everything. But as mentioned, their only purpose is to basically slow down the machine working in your head, the negative thought cycles that you fall into, to simply make you a little more relaxed. Your numbness that it emits. Well, you can also get it through natural practices, you know. So I would like do a combination of everything basically and see what happens or what helps and what not. If you want to learn a little more about the current state of our world and how I managed to navigate it, like I'm still aware there is like all this kind of struggles and they won't go really away, and you will always have like new goals that you chase with the same intensity and everything, and you'll still incredibly and unfortunate um, in some regard when you don't reach it, you know, and you have negative consequences out of that. But I found some ways that make it easier to handle these negative consequences, and I lay it all down in my ebook, as mentioned below. You can get it for free, and I will send it you per email. I will not send out anything else that I don't find valuable myself. You can be sure of that. So yeah, I would highly appreciate your feedback. Just give it a read. It's 45 pages, I think. So a quick read, but definitely valuable, I think. If you enjoyed this video, especially for you, it's valuable. And yeah, I would just say let's keep looking out for each other. I really want to build a connection here, so this personal. That's why this video has this personal manner. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you got something out of it. Let me know what you want to see next. Thank you.